Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's live session. Yeah, we are here once again to digest the markets. Yep, digest the markets. Okay, welcome, everyone. If you can hear me loud and clear, let me know. Put it in the chat and let me know. Put it in the chat and let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. So we are here in a new month of September. I believe the holiday season is over, so we're back to business, where we should expect some better price movements. Some better price movements from this time on. Okay. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Put it in the chat. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Okay. Once again, thanks for joining me today as we digest the markets. All right, on my chart here today, I have a Euro, USD card. So on here, I have the weekly time frame. I have the weekly time frame right here on my charts. So doing this top-down analysis, the aim is to find directional bias on the higher time frame. So with the weekly time frame that I have on the screen now, I want to basically identify the most likely area price should be heading towards for the week. So this is the weekly time frame. So every bar we see here is 1 week. So as we can see here, we want to read the charts or read the market structure and identify any possible areas of where there's a breakup structure, or there is the most likely area that price will turn out and then be heading towards. So over here we have price right here. We had this push down which caused this breakup structure right here. So we call it a change of character because we had this up move, price from this point on making a highs. So we can see that we initially have this change of character here, or where price broke above this area. And then once we identify that, we have to originate it. So this is the area. If we're looking at the weekly, this is the last indecision candle before this impulse move that caused the change of character, or the breakup structure as we may put it. So from there on, we expect price to come back to close any open price range or any imbalances below here. So which we had this happening. So we had this break of structure, price came back and then closed this imbalances that was created along this up move. So now that we've made our way back to this area, we expect price to continue the uptrend. So if we look at it, the uptrend more or less started from here. It started from, if we're taking this data from this point on, this is a low. So this is a low where it pushed up, made this higher high, came back for a higher low, higher low, higher low. Made this, let me use the path tool so that to be clear. So from here to this point, then here to this point, and then yeah, we made another low here. So we had this movement starting from here, and then we made this low here. So if we're starting again from here to continue the uptrend, it will be from this point to this point here, and then we broke structure there, somewhere here. So that is an uptrend making higher highs and higher lows. So as we broke structure here, we expect price to come back to fill this imbalance that was created here. Oops, let's take this out. The imbalance that was created there. So as I said, this is a weekly time frame, so we have imbalances that was created here as price made its way up. So that's what price has done, come back to fill this imbalance here, tapping into the demand area as well. So now we still have some open price range areas. We can see here this imbalance right here, which I guess has been filled. So on this time frame, as we can see, this imbalance was tapped in from this point on, so look, reading the market structure from this point, we can see that we had a break of structure, price came back to the origin, and then we expect price to continue the uptrend. So this is the weekly time frame. So if anything at all, this area here, this push down, this leg here, this is the origin. This is the last indecision candle before the impulse move that caused this change of character. So that will be our supply zone on the higher time frame, the weekly time frame. So as I said, we're doing a top-down analysis. So we start from the weekly. Again, the weekly will give us the directional bias where we are most likely to flow from, and then the medium time frame also will give us the setup formation, and then we go on the lower time frames for our entry. So this we are doing on the weekly is just to help us to identify the most likely area price will be heading towards from this point on. So let's go down to the daily time frame and see if we can find anything there. Okay, so on the daily time frame, we can refine this area to, let's say, from here on, because this is the area price began the push down from. So that's we take on the last indecision candle to be our supply area. Yeah, supply zone. Okay, so on the daily time frame, I can't really see any area of imbalance here. The only place I can see is the side. on right here, we have some open price range. Open price range right here. Imbalance, imbalance, imbalance. So this one I marked earlier on. Oh, okay, let's, on the daily, we can refine it from here to this high. So as we can see on the daily, that area, this area has been partially filled, not fully filled. So that is an area of imbalance as well. That has been partially filled, and we have another area here. So reading from the market structure, we had a break of change of character right here, and then we expect price to come back to tap into and fill the imbalances along the way and tap into demand area, which I believe has been done now. And then we have 3 taps into this area, then we're making our push up. So this coming week, we have this area above here that still needs to be tapped in if we're going to continue the uptrend. So this area, we took it from the weekly time frame. So we have that in the back of our minds that more or less we have a chance of price going up to fill this area and then tap into this, and then probably continue the uptrend. So, and then reading from this point on, this is the daily time frame. Reading from this point on, let's see if we have shifted or changed the direction that we want to be. So market is closed now, so currently this is where we are at now. So from this point on the daily, we can see that we're making higher highs, higher low, higher highs, higher low. So that is a characteristic of an uptrend. So hopefully we're going to have this push up to this point as we have marked on here on USD card. So coming this week, we're hoping to see movements in this direction. So once market opens, if we get a close above this area, that will much more confirm the uptrend than anything. So once we have a close from this point above this area, we have broken a structure here. So once that is done, we expect price to come back to fill any imbalances that would have been created as it made its way up here. So we have a pushback like this and then continue to the upside. That is what I'm kind of looking at now. That is what the structure is telling me now. So not on anything. I'm just looking at what I'm seeing and then making a narrative, or having this narrative on the higher time frame. So as we go further down to the 4-hour time frame, that is what we could be looking out for, because we've created of having this higher time narrative of a possible uptrend. So we'll be looking out for, as we have price making its way up, so we'll be looking out for buys, opportunities to buy in this particular pair. So as I've said before, reading the market structure, it's to help us to find the direction of where price is likely to go. And this, as we do here, as I've also said, it's fractal. These formations that we read on market structure is always fractal, no matter the time frame that you are on with. So it can further refine this area, so to whatever time frame that you prefer, to the lower time frames for your entries. So even if you go on the 1 minute time frame, you should find the same thing that we talk about here. We have price pushing up, breaking this structure here. So this is the previous high. We have price breaking above it. It came back, tapped into it, and then made its way back again. Continue the trend. So anytime it breaks, so this is on the 1 minute time frame, so it doesn't matter which time frame you are on. So the most important thing is we've already picked on the higher time frame narrative, which a possible uptrend or up movement. So with that in mind, you only want to be aligning yourself with what the higher time frame is telling you on the lower time frame. So if you are trading on the lower time frame, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever, all you have to do is, if the higher time frame is telling you an uptrend, you're waiting for price to come back to give you an opportunity to take a buy, which will be much more safer, less riskier than taking a sell. So if, for instance, the higher time frame is telling you a bearish movement, you want to be aligning yourself in that direction on the lower time frame. Even though you might get some opportunities to get into a trade from the lower time frame in the opposite side, but it's much more safer and less riskier to take the trade in the direction of the higher time frame. So going forward, this is how I look at USD card. Been waiting for this to happen, and so USD card going forward, this is how I look at it to give us an up push. So with this analysis in place, no matter what, that's all I always say, we trade what we see. So what the market is telling you, that's what you follow to trade. And then you also have to apply proper risk management, not just taking any trade and then not applying proper risk management, not over leveraging. No. All right, let's look at another pair. Possibly let's go to gold and see what is happening on gold. Let's see what is happening on gold. So gold has been very bullish as we can see. If we go on the weekly for the status, we can see that on the weekly time frame we've been very bullish, running up, as we can see, making higher highs, and then higher lows, as we can see here. So, and then we can see that we have recently broken a structure. We took out this area of liquidity last week. So if I take this out, so you can see making higher highs and making higher lows. That's a characteristic of an uptrend. And then you can see that we took out this area of liquidity last week, clearing this equal highs here. So this area was sitting a lot of liquidity. So we had it taken out last week. So this here is BOS, break of structure. So once we have this in place, we at least expect this to happen. We had this push up to cause this break of structure, taking out all these liquidity areas here, making all-time high. So we could expect some push back to this area before price make its way up again, or price could continue from here up, continue the uptrend. But the usual steps that price normally takes is once it breaks an area, it come back for a retest and then it continues. So from this break of structure, this is the origin on the weekly time frame. So this now becomes our demand area, and then we can also identify some area of imbalance attached to this demand zone. So we have imbalance demand zone right here on the weekly time frame. Oh, that's imbalance. Okay, we have some imbalance demand zone right here, so we expect price to come back, fill this imbalance, and then continue the push up, continue its push up. Right, so this is on the weekly time frame, So let's go down to the daily time frame as we cracking down on top-down analysis on gold. So we can see that this is a break of structure right here, where all the liquidity resting here was taken out. So looking at this, the origin of this move is right here. I will further refine this zone to this particular candle here. This candle, right here. I'm picking the low and the high of it. Okay, so after this we had some area of imbalance that we had price coming back to balance it, or to fill it up, to close the open price range area on there. With this wick, it came back to close it before it pushed up. Okay, so on the daily time frame, you can see that it's all efficient here. There's no imbalance left here. So the only on the daily we can identify a small imbalance. Okay, there's one imbalance here. So we are further refining these areas we identified on the weekly as we crack down. So we want to identify these possible areas that price will most likely come back to tap in before continuing going up. So as this area has been a very strong area of resistance, as we had the tested how many times, 1 2 3 4, then this was the 5th time and got broken. So this will now be a very major area of support as price comes back to this zone. So most likely from this point down, it's all efficient now, looking at the daily time frame, and then we can identify some imbalance right here. So there's a high chance that price could come back to this area, just tapping into this support area, filling these imbalances, and then continue to the upside. There's a high chance price doing that's coming this week. So as we can see that it's been very bullish, we have a bullish market, and then we had this area of resistance, or that got broken. Another scenario that we could look at is this whole thing here could be a liquidity sweep, where after sweeping the liquidity above here, the price will turn out to push down to the downside. Also we have these areas of liquidity resting down here. We have all this liquidity resting down here. So those who engage in buying, most traders have their stop losses and stop losses resting here. So just as those who engage in selling had their stop losses and then sell limits resting here. So this will kind of activate all of them, and then if price wants to get back down, it could. Because looking at the charts now on the weekly, this is an all-time high. There's nothing, no data on the left hand side to base our analysis on. That price is most likely reaching out for any liquidity above or along the way to a higher ground, but there is no data here. This is an all-time high. So what we have here is we've just had liquidity sweep right above here. So we may never know, this could be a sweep of liquidity and then turn around to the downside, but we don't want to leave any stone unturned. That's why I'm looking at both sides. So we have liquidity resting here as well. So if we go down on the daily again, we can also identify some areas of imbalances that hasn't been filled yet right here. So taken into consideration, this is a zone right here on the daily time frame, a pending zone on the daily time frame. So this will be a demand area. This will be a demand zone. So attached to this demand zone, we have also some imbalance right here that is confluencing with our demand area as well. So imbalance. So this is on the daily time frame. So we have this pending area that hasn't been mitigated yet, or that hasn't been tapped in yet. So there's a high chance that price, after sweeping the liquidity right here, could begin to come back to take out the liquidity, and then this liquidity resting in these areas as well. So nevertheless, we will always trade what we see. So there's a chance that price could turn out, let me put it this way, as we have built this narrative, that there's a chance that price could, if it wants to continue the uptrend, come back, fill this imbalance here, and then continue to the upside. Or it could begin to come back, clear all this liquidity here, come back for a retest, and continue to the downside. So this is what we kind of looking at on gold at the moment. So as I said, trade what you see, trade what the market is telling you by reading the market structure. And then you trade what you see. So these are narratives that we are building that could happen, because we've had a sweep of liquidity here, and this move looks quite strong. So we could expect a continuation of the trend. So if we had maybe just some wicks clearing out these areas, and then price pushing back, that would have been some sign of liquidity, a much more confirmed sign of liquidity sweep. But over here we have full body close showing the strength of the bias. So it could be a continuation trend. So with this scenario, we could have price pushing up to continue the trend, or coming back to the downside. So all we are looking at is, we're not here to predict or force our narrative on the markets. We're only going to trade what we see. So over here, we want to use a confirmation entry if we want to take in trade from here. We want to use confirmation entry. So confirmation entry, we have, if we get a break of this structure, this low here, and then we expect price to come back to this area. So once we get price pushing back after this break of structure, price pushing back to this area and giving us some more signs of rejection here, then we take the trade from there to the downside. We take the trade from here to the downside. The same way, if we push back to this area and then we begin to see any rejection formation in this zone, we could as well take the trade to the upside. So in a situation like this, it's not giving us a very clear option to just follow. So we have double option. So it's better to use confirmation entry in terms of taking trades in this scenario. In terms of taking trades in this scenario. So just be on the watch out for this. So it's a kind of a unique option we have here, as we don't have any old data on the left hand side to help us to make further decision or make a much more concrete decision, because this is a all-time high. Because we have an all-time high, we don't have enough information on the left hand side to give us that a much more decisive, to give us much more information to make that decision. So we have to look at both sides, what could happen on both sides. So this is on gold, as we have explained. So with this, we can further refine these areas to, if you go on the lower time frame, you can further refine these areas that we have marked on the higher time frame. So as we've already gotten I've explained the higher time narrative that we could follow. So from this point on, we can pick this area. So we can further refine the area we are looking at to this particular candle here, to this area, and then we can see this whole area of imbalance that we could be targeting for. So that's a pending area that has been partially filled. It's not fully filled. A pending area that has been filled. So if we read the market structure now, we can identify areas of imbalances all along up to this point where price is now. So there's a high chance we could have price pushing back and then balancing all these imbalances along the way to this high. So we could also take advantage of it as it make its way back to this area. But again, that would be a much more a counter trend trade, which turns out to be a high risk trade. But if we get into a buy situation, that would be much what's the word? That would be much less riskier, as we can read the market structure of it's been in a bullish market. So if you take the trade to the upside, it will be much less riskier compared to looking for the sells, unless we have these. So this is the high that it has created. So if we have this low taken out, we have price coming all the way from here and then take out this low here. We expect price to come back. We expect price to come back to test this area before. So once it clears this, it gives us a indication of its intention to go to the downside. Or even right from here, if we could if we get a price taken out, this is the last low point, so we could have a break of structure right from here or even here. So once we have these break of structure, we could engage in some sales to clear out these areas. So as we engage in this, we should also bear in mind what the higher time frame is telling us, that we are in an uptrend. So if we engage in sales, we shouldn't be taken over completely that we are in a downtrend unless we have more confirmation. So as I said, we have these pending areas that could be a potential areas to draw on liquidity, to draw price to come back to fill these areas. So as I said, as the markets open, let's look out for some of these signs. So these are the areas, because above, there's nothing above to consider. So this is what we can consider now, as the market structure is telling us. This is what we can consider now. So we have had a break of structure. We expect price to come back to the origin, fill out the imbalances, and then take out some internal liquidity areas, and then make its way up again if it wants to continue the uptrend. So that will be us watching and monitoring what price will be doing as the days and the weeks go by. Okay, so that is on gold. Let's look at NAS. Where are you? If you have any pair that you want me to have a look at, please put it on the chat. Put it on the chat, and I will do justice to that. Okay, so on NAS we have. So NAS also has been in the what do I call it? All-time highs. NAS also has been in that same pathway as gold is on now. It is in an all-time high. So that's NAS 100. So on the left-hand side, there is no structure there to give us a clue. On the left-hand side, there's no structure there to give us a clue. So from what we see here on the weekly, we have price also taking out this high break of structure right here. So once we have a break of structure, we have to originate it to the origin. So from this push up, the origin will be here. So this is the last indecision candle. Could pick this, the high of this, the last indecision candle before the move that caused the break of structure. So this is the last indecision candle. So that would be our demand zone. So some people will mark it this way, pick the high and low of the last indecision candle, or some can even stretch it to the low of this candle. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, sometimes you have situations like this. So you pick the high and the low of this candle. That's fine. Just to cover this whole area. That's fine. All right. So with this, that is the origin of this move that caused the break of structure on the weekly, as we can see it here. That's one area. So we have along this route, we can identify some imbalances, some imbalance right here. Right there, imbalance, and then also some imbalance right here, a tiny one right there, imbalance right there. Yeah, So then another one right here. So these are areas, potential areas that could draw price back to this zone as it has recently broken this structure. So we could expect price to push back to this zone from here to clear out. Possibly, if it wants to continue the uptrend, it might not come all the way down here. It could just come up to somewhere here, fill this imbalance, and then push up. But in all this, all we have to do is to monitor and see the price action, what price is telling us. But in the overall direction that we're looking at, because we don't have any data on the left to build any narrative on, so this is what we have currently on the weekly time frame. So we at least expect price to make this move back to this zone somehow, one way or the other. So if we want to further refine these zones that we've marked on the weekly, we can do that. So this is the area that I marked on the weekly, so we can further refine it to this last indecision candle here. So instead of having that wide area, we can just draw it onto that particular candle. So if we can look, if you can see where I left the base of this demand area, also happens to be the base of this last indecision candle that we want to use now on the daily. So that's why I said if you want to push it to that low, it doesn't really matter, it's also good. So we have this area here, this demand zone on the daily time frame, and then we can also identify some area of imbalance right here. Area of imbalance right there. So all we're doing is identifying these imbalance areas. These are areas of liquidity that price could be drawn. It acts as magnets which draw price onto it. It acts as magnets to draw price back onto it. So we have this break of structure here. So these are these possible areas that could draw price back into. So come this week, this is what I am anticipating. This is my anticipation on the higher time frame narrative, to have these price come back here, or there could be a further push up a little bit or continuation right from here. But as we can see, we had this push up and then price pushed down again and then failed to beat this previous record. And then, so we kind of seeing some form of rejection here. So if we should get this, let me take this out here. If we should get a break of structure, we expect price to come back to the origin and then continue its push down. So this will be the area. So this is the nearest low point. So if we should get a break of structure or change of character, so that's the first one. So if we have a break below here, that's a change of character. So from there, we just originate it to the last candle or last indecision candle. So currently the market is closed. So if I should pick on the last indecision candle as we have now, this is the last indecision candle to give me my supply zone. But you never know, as the market opens, the market might decide to push further up before coming down. So this is what I'm looking at, since there's no data on the left hand side, and this is an all-time high. So this is what I'm looking at coming this week on NAS. Okay, BTC. I'll have a look at BTC from this point on. Okay, so this is what I'm looking at on NAS. So just as I refined it on here, you can further refine it as you have a step down on the time frame. So step down on the time frames as you go to the lower time frames to further refine your zones that you have marked, to further refine your zone as you have marked. Okay, so on this, on the 4-hour time frame, you can also identify more areas of liquidity. So there's all liquidity resting all over here, liquidity all over here, and some imbalances along the way, also acting as internal range of liquidity. Internal range of liquidity. So these are all liquidity areas price could be targeting. So as the market opens, we can expect some of this to play out. So if we have this low taken out, we expect price to come back to the origin. The origin I marked on the daily time frame. So this can be further refined to this particular indecision candle right here. So that is the indecision candle right there. So right here. So as we can see, that's the last indecision candle. So it doesn't matter it's being green or red or purple. As on my chart, I have green and purple. So it doesn't matter. It could be a green candle or it could be a purple candle. So you're looking at the last indecision candle before the impulse move. So over here, that is the last indecision candle before this impulse move down. And then we had market closing here. So we can also identify there is this imbalance that was created right here, a tiny one though on the 4-hour time frame, but it is what it is. It's an imbalance, so we take notice of it as we mark out our chart. So if we have, okay, so we can see these areas, this low point here and then another low point here. So if we have any break here, so this I marked on the daily time frame, so that could be a break of structure on the 4-hour. So we could have a change of character right here as we break below this low point right there. Yeah, so as we break below here, we expect price to come back, or we could further have a push down, then price coming back to this area. But whatever it is, this is the area. If we don't have price pushing from here on, and then we tends to have a down push, we'll definitely have these areas taken out, clearing out the liquidity resting here, and then this is the area that we anticipate to get in for a sell, possibly. So yeah, okay, yeah, we have price pushing down to break a structure on the left and then coming back to the area of, or the origin area, and then once we have this happening, it gives us a more confirmed entry. So not just taking the trade from here. So we expect price to break a structure, and then once it gives us a retest to the origin, that is where we anticipate to take a trade, and our stop loss goes above the zone that we've marked. So with this, I expect you to go on the lower time frame. So if we anything at all, I will expect you to go on a lower time frame where you will find this same setup that will tell you that we have changed character to the downside. So this is on the 15-minute time frame to right here. So we have this imbalance right here. We have this imbalance right here attached to the supply zone. So, and then we also have this imbalance here. So we kind of expect, it's kind of giving us indication of a reversal. This is what is price is telling us now. This is what price is telling us. So I'll delete this. So the change of character, I will say, happened right here. The change of character happened right here as we had this low point taken out, giving us indication that we want to go to the south. We want to go to the south. So from this on the 15-minute time frame, this is a change of character right here. So this is the origin, and then along the way we can also identify these imbalances along the way. So we expect price to at least fill these imbalances, tap into this, and then have a sell-off. So this is what I was telling you about confirmation entry. So break of structure, price coming back here, and then taking the trade from there. Okay, so that is what I am looking at on NAS this coming week. This coming week. Yeah, as I said, there's no data on the left hand side to give us much more information to make further decision on in terms of going to the upside. So the data we have is to the downside. That's why and then we have a change of character here. So we have to deal with what we have in our hands. So this is the most likely option that we have here. So we expect price to push to fill these imbalances, giving us the confirmation to sell this to complete or to fill these areas below. So this is what I'm looking at. Or it could continue the trend from here. There's a high chance that it could continue the uptrend from here. There's a high chance it could continue the trend from here. But as I said, once market opens and we struggling, we fill this imbalances area, and then we get any form of rejection here, we could risk it out. And then because below here we have areas of draw on liquidities that price will be kind of magnetized to. So let's look at Bitcoin. Okay, let's go back. I said, what do I think about 1 hour? Hasn't it broken structure? Let's see. 1 hour. Okay, yeah, so on this is the 1 hour time frame. Yeah, so 1 hour has broken structure. 1 hour has broken structure. So me jumping to 15 minutes, just it's more or less from the area that I marked on the 15 minutes happens to be the same area on the 1 hour. So 1 hour also is showing us structure is broken to the downside. So this is the area we look out to take a sell from. This is the zone we look out to take a sell from to the next zone we can identify. So the next area on the 1 hour we can identify is here. So we can identify some imbalance here, and then this is the demand area we can mark on the one. We can also identify this imbalance. Right here on the hourly time frame. So this could be our target. If we tap into this trade from here, this could be our target, then stop loss up there. So this could be our target. So yeah, so coming this is what I see on the charts. This is what, so it could be that price will continue to the downside, but this is the TP1 or first target that I could identify right here. This could be another target. this could be another target. So this is what I see. This is what I see. Okay, so if we tap from here, and again, this is where to take the trade to, or further down here. If you could trail your profits all the way here, if it gives a smooth ride, that would be lovely. Okay, so let's look at BTC USD. BTC USD. Okay, let's begin from the one now. Weekly. Okay, so on the weekly, I've already marked these areas, pending areas on it already. So currently we have a break of structure on the weekly time frame as well. A break of structure on the weekly time frame on BTC USD. So we can see how we had this area of liquidity that we swept with this wick, creating a new high here. So that's what I was referring to, or I was talking about on gold when I was doing the analysis. As we can see, let me take this out from there for now. As we can see on the weekly here, we can see that this area of equal highs where liquidity here, all the liquidity resting here was swept, and then straight away we saw this rejection candle that was formed. So but over on gold, we don't have this. We have a full body candles closed above the highs of the recent high on the left hand side on gold, but over here we have just a wick giving us indication of rejection. So that's why I was saying that gold could further push from where it is, because we have a stronger bullish indication on gold than what we have on BTC now. So we had a liquidity sweep right from here, and then since then we have broken structure or changed character to the downside. So if we're looking at the downside on BTC, we can also identify that currently we had this break of structure or change of character because this is the first area. So once we had this change of character, if I should mark it this low, where we had a body close below, change of character, a body close below. So if we're talking about the origin of this move, we're talking about this whole area as our supply zone. So that's the last indecision candle that was formulated before that impulse move down. So that's our supply zone. So attached to this supply zone, we also have imbalance to validate our zone. We have this imbalance attached to this supply zone to make our zone we have marked as a supply a valid one. So right, yeah, so this is what we have here. So we could have, as we have a change of character, we could have price coming back to tap into this area, filling this imbalance, and then further traveling to the south, So what this coming week we could expect is this. That's what, because we have all these liquidity areas here. And again, this BTC USD this is the all-time high. We don't have any data on the left-hand side to give us a clue. We don't have any data on the left-hand side to give us a clue. So this is what we have presently. So this is what we can deal with. So from what the market structure is telling me, we recently had this break of change of character. So with this change of character, we trace it to the origin on the weekly that I'm talking about. those of us on swing trading. So we trace it back to the origin. So this is the origin that I've marked, the imbalance supply zone that I've marked here. So this coming week we could expect price coming back as it has tapped into this area, which is now serving as a support area. This area which price tested it several times, pushed down, came back, tested it, pushed down, tested it, and finally broke above it, held here, consolidated here for some time, creating equal highs, and at the same time creating liquidity above it, which we have had price clearing out the liquidity above. And now we've had price also breaking below the consolidation area, clearing the liquidity, resting here, and then also causing a change of character, giving us indication that there's a change in the flow, change in the state of delivery. So we now have to originate it. So this is the origin I've put here. So coming this week, this is what I expect. Looking at what is on the chart now, this is what I expect price to come back to fill this imbalance and then further move down to clear all this liquidity that we have resting here. But as to how far it will go, nobody knows. It could be that as it has tapped into this area, there could be sell limits from this zone, because it will be a high risk trade. If we're taking a sell from here, it could be a high risk trade, because we can see that BTC it's been on a bullish run. So we're just looking at the options we have here. So the options we have here is what I'm saying now. So if we're taking a trade here, it should be a confirmation entry to the downside to take out this liquidity resting here, highs, creating new all-time high, and then continuing from there. So that's how I see BTC. So this is on the weekly time frame. So if we go down to the daily, we can further refine our zone. To our session. Okay, if you have any question, you can put it in the chat, and then I can quickly look through it, and then before we sign off from here. So as we can see, this is the daily time frame. Then this is what we are looking at. So with that rejection candle we saw there, see how it gave us a bearish engulfing candle, completely taking out the previous bullish candle and then making its way down after clearing the liquidity, resting here, not even leaving the liquidity above here. It took it out with that small move above it, and then straight away turned round to the downside. So now, as I said, we have this areas that on the this is the daily time frame. So on the daily time frame, we can even see that it's kind of filled, so leaving out this area. So we can further refine the zone to this area here. We can further refine it to this zone here. So instead of expecting price to go all the way up here, all these areas is it's all balanced now. We can see the candles trading into each other. It's all balanced. There's no inefficiencies, as I can see all in this area. So the only inefficiency I can see here, the only imbalance I can see here is this one here. So at least instead of, so this is what top-down analysis could help you to do. So instead of expecting price right up here, we can expect price. So now this could be the area we'll be looking out to, or we'll be expecting price to maybe tap in before giving us a sell-off, because it's already giving us the indication. Looking at this bearish engulfing candle, giving us indication that it doesn't want to go up for now. So you can see how the purple candle has been eating up the green candles. The purple candle have been eating up the green candles, showing who is stronger. So So currently we have this imbalance right here, so we could expect price. It kind of pushed back to this area a little bit, but did not actually fill the imbalance here. So it could maybe expect price to give us some nice push from there. So we have all these pending areas right here, so we could at least expect price to give us a nice push even to the halfway of that, or so our stop will go above this area. So yeah, so that's what I kind of look at on BTC. So this on the daily time frame, as I said again, this on the daily time frame, so we can further refine this on the smaller time frame. Let me take out this to make the chart a little bit cleaner. Good evening, James. Good evening. Okay, yeah, so this is on the daily time frame, so we can have a step down on the time frames to 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can also identify that the change of character right happened somewhere up here, right up here, or we can here the change of character happened here, so not down here. So down here it's all break of structure. So we can put the change of character right somewhere there. So already we can see on the 4-hour time frame that we've already began the down push, the downward trend, as we swept the liquidity clearly above these highs. We swept the liquidity clearly above these highs. See the rejection candle that he gave us here on the 4-hour time frame before we sold off. So these are some of the things you mark, you analyze your chart, and then you'll be waiting. So the moment you see things like this, and especially having this rejection candle and engulfing, you are more than you have a high chance of winning in this kind of moves than anything else. High chance of winning than anything else. So over here we can see how we had this break of, or we call this change of character. Price came back, tapped into this area, and then sold off again, and then we broke this below this structure, caused a break of structure here as well, break of structure, and then price just traded into this liquidity area and then sold off. So it's the same thing. It doesn't matter the time frame that you are on. It could be on the 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, even 30 seconds. But what you should bear in mind is the higher time frame narrative, that whatever you are taking on the lower time frame should align with the higher time frame narrative. So on the higher time frame narrative, we identify that we've swept liquidity, and once we have swept liquidity, we distribute, we move to the direction that price wants to go. So from this narrative, we swept liquidity on the buy side. We swept liquidity on the buy side, and from there we began the sell-off. So currently this is where we are at now. So we recently, if we looking at this here, let me take this out first. So looking at this here, let me mark all these areas. We have break of structure. This is the most recent break of structure that we had. So you mostly you consider the most recent break of structure. So from here we had this break of structure. So this break of structure, we had the origin to be right here. So this, as we're doing it, I said it's fractal. It happens on all time frames, no matter the size or the time frame that you are on. So this will be a small supply area. So supply area that we will talk. All right, so from this break of structure, as we've marked here, we can mark the area as this one. So price came back to this, tapped into this area, pushed down, and then re-tapped into it. But as I said, above, we can further refine this area on the 4-hour time frame here. So above here, we said it's all efficient. Also, we can also identify this area of imbalance right here. So on the higher time frame, we couldn't see any further imbalance above. So on the 4-hour time frame, we can identify this imbalance as well. So there is a high chance, or this possibility, that price could further clear these areas before coming down. So currently, as we can see, we have this breakup structure here. This is the last area that we had broken. So the origin is this area. So where is price? That's where price is now. That's where price is now. So we've tapped into this, and so we expect this area to be broken. So for us to sell this, to have a confirmed sell on this price action currently, I expect price to take out these, either this low here or that one. So if we take out either this low, that's much better. We take out this low here, that's much better. So if we get something like this, and then back to this area, we could further push down. Yeah, okay, so I hope and I believe this further explain this. Yeah, I think someone is asking gold, please. Yeah, I think I've digested gold in and out before this time. So probably you might have to just go over watch the video again. I think the video will be right back on YouTube once I'm done here. We've gone past the hourly mark, so you can just go back and watch the video on YouTube. I digested the gold a while ago. So all right, so if you have any other question, please put it in the chat, and then I will have a look at it. We've gone over the hourly mark. I don't want to keep this too long. Let's whilst I wait for your any question or any suggestion, I will just look at GBP yen. Okay. So GBP yen, let's start from the weekly and see what is there. Okay, so GBP yen, yeah. So on the weekly, we can see that we have this area, this last indecision candle right there, the last indecision candle right there, to serve as our supply zone. Yeah. So attached to this is also a tiny imbalance that is attached to this area. I know there's also that big area there, but imbalance. Okay, so that makes our zone a valid zone. So we also have this imbalance here. we also have imbalance here. So currently price has been having resistance here, kind of being rejected here. So it's been in an uptrend. It's been in an uptrend, and the last thing we can see here, we can see that we had a break or change of character right here. Change of character right there. Yeah, we have a change of character right there. So once we identify the change of character, we have to originate it. So the origin is this area. On the weekly, this is what we are looking at. So for us to further make the area more sniper, to make the area more smaller, to give us a better risk reward, that's where we further refine it by going to the smaller time frame. So on the weekly, what we want to see here is we've had this break of structure. The next thing we're looking at is after the break of structure, we expect price to come back to the origin, fill the imbalances that was created there, and that's what price has been doing. So after this push down, all this is in effort to fill or come back to this area, and then we have a sell off. So that is the weekly narrative that we can identify currently on here. So even from here, this is weekly. Each candle here stands for a week. So from here to here, it's quite a distance. Let's measure from where price is now to here. Could give us about 459 pips. That's a lot. That's a lot. So possibly we could be gauging this. So now we can see that we've had this liquidity pool resting here. So for price to push down, there's a high chance, the high probability that we're going to have a sweep of this liquidity resting here, and by so doing also filling these imbalances before the sell-off begins. So any push from here, so when we go on the smaller time frame, we at least want to trade this move to this area. So once we get to this area, then we begin to change our direction to the downside. So that's why we're going through this top-down analysis. So from this point on, we can see that there's imbalance here. We have liquidity resting here, and then there's a high chance after this liquidity created for liquidity to be swept. So for this liquidity to be swept, we at least will want to be looking out for opportunities to take price to this area. So once we get to this area, and then price gives us confirmation of reversing to continue to give us a change of character, or we have a confirmation here, we trade it down. So on the weekly, this is what we see. If we go on the daily time frame, so we've already gotten the idea, the narrative on the higher time frame, the weekly. So the whole week, that is what could be happening. The whole week, that's what could be happening. So we could be targeting trades as it's pushed up to this high to fill out these imbalances. So this area, if we look at it on the 4-hour time frame, we can probably further refine it. So the change of character, looking at it from here, actually occurred here. This is where the change of character happened. So in the same way, you can just further refine your zones as you move down on the smaller time frames. So GBP JPY, this is what I see this coming week. We have created this liquidity pool right here, money resting all above here. So if we've truly caused this change of character, and also at the same time caused this break of structures here, and then we originated, so this is the origin area that so at least from this point on, let me pick a tool here. From this point on, it's all looking efficient. The market is looking all efficient. So if anything at all, we expect price to come back to fill this imbalance in this area, the imbalance in that area. Let's clear this. Let me draw the imbalance area that we can expect price. So on the daily time frame, that's what I'm spotting this. So if we go further down on the smaller time frame, we can even further refine the zone. So we can further refine the zone to this area. So on here, we can expect price to at least come back to fill this area of imbalance. As it also clears the liquidity here, then we could at least look for some sales. So the higher time frame narrative that we identified, this is what we are refining as we move down on the smaller time frame. So if we go down the 4-hour time frame, so over here, just as on the, analyzing the gold, NAS and the other ones, we didn't have much data on the left hand side, but over here we have data on the left hand side to further help us in our analysis. So I'm just moving to the left hand side. So we have data on the left hand side here to help us in doing our analysis. So we can also identify some imbalance here on the 4-hour time frame. Imbalance. So we now narrow the area that caused the, we would narrow this area. So we have some imbalance right here. So as I indicated earlier on, we have imbalances along the way up until here. So we can at least anticipate a move all the way somewhere here, also clearing the liquidity resting here, and then we look for sales. So the issue is here, no matter the time frame you are on, once you've got the higher time frame narrative, it will help you in terms of aligning yourself on the smaller time frame in taking the trades as you go along within the week. So this, as we identified on the weekly, at least this is what we anticipate to happen on the weekly time frame or along the week. So if we go along the week, we want to align ourselves in this kind of narrative. Okay, so we've gone past our usual 1 hour time, so we'll end the session here. At this point in time, if you have any question, I haven't seen any question, so I believe we're all on the same page. Thank you so much for joining me here today. As I said again, if you have any question, you can reach out to me, or if you need help in terms of anything regarding trading, you can also reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help you out to move to your next journey as we go on through this with confidence. All right, thank you so much, and then love you all. Stay blessed and have a happy trading week. Thank you.